I have a question for Tom and eventually both of the Clemente brothers. So being, you mentioned the movie 42 being something that a lot of kids are watching, you know, because kids are into Netflix and, you know, on their phones and stuff like that. That's why I think Nick Swisher's video is so important. What are your plans? Do you guys think about making a movie or a documentary, going live or in Netflix or something like that? But what I want to know, Tom's first and then the brothers.
Again, I'll leave that more certainly to the brothers, because there have been plans. There have been, I mean, I used to live in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I've seen two Clemente plays at local things. So there's lots of stuff that has been done. And as I say, there were, you could go watch Jackie Robinson's story from 1950, which is not a great movie, but the 42 is the second, I believe it's the second highest grossing sports film of all time, behind A League of Their Own. So it got widespread play. Chadwick Boseman, who then, that was the thing that kind of put him on the map before he unfortunately passed away. And now it's getting, there have been a lot more screenings about it. So there needs to be something along that level. And again, there's some of the discussion, but again, I'll leave that to Luis and Roberto to talk about what could happen in the future. But as you're correct, that is something in today's visual society for children. Adults can watch a documentary, like I say, the Ken Burns thing. If there's a great documentary that, and there should be one soon. Say a feature, and even that comes in there. Do you do a? There are so many great things you could tell the story of Roberto. You know, the story of him and Vera is a great story. The story of his playing is a great story, which most people know, and the story of him, of the humanitarian side. So I think you almost have to focus on, you know, his humanitarian side, and that could be an amazing movie of itself. But again, I'll leave it to others.
Voy a decir algo de eso, al respecto de la pregunta sobre la película, porque and I'll speak, Tom, we're talking about, I going back very quickly to the movie, answering the question. I remember in 1970, I want to say it was like 74, sitting down at a restaurant here in Pittsburgh with Mom and Maury Gable. Maury Gable was Clark Gable's grandson. And he said he wanted the rights to do the Clemente film way back then. He came back to us a year and a half later or so to say that Hollywood had stated, and everyone had told him, that no one in Hollywood would be interested in a story of a Black Puerto Rican. And we're still now at 2020. And it's amazing to me that if there is a shooter of a massacre a month or 2 months ago, you can certainly assure there will be a story on TV or in the theaters about that occasion, right? And it is amazing that a story that I believe will be uplifting, we hope that it will be made by Legendary, who has the rights today, but it goes to show how hard it is to actually come up with a story of a Latino individual in this country that will elevate its community, its people, because they somehow still believe that it's not the right thing to do. So until when do we have to really continue this conversation on having a figure that represents equality more now in this day and age than ever, and it needs to happen.
I want something. You know, we always talk about the big things in life, and we're always looking for the big names. We're looking for the big news. We're looking for the big things, and I understand the movies and education. But I've been traveling around America when I was a spokesman for the Army for the last 3 years in my active career, and then last few years for the foundation. And I run into stories, people telling me. I remember when the Army sponsored Luis and Junior to come to Chicago. And when we went to the hotel, we stayed. Junior was the first one to arrive, and then Luis came there. Two men, 62 years old men. There were one was a limousine driver, the other one was a doorman. They broke down in tears. 62 years of age, broke down in tears just by shaking the hands of Junior. Broke down in tears right there. And so, you know, right now we're talking about schools. Think about it. If we do a campaign of letting the small people in America, right now, Lafarge, New York, middle of nowhere, one school that has only 500 kids. A teacher every year in March, she teach 1 week of Roberto Clemente story. How many teachers like that we have in America? I'm pretty sure we're more than her. I guarantee you that. There will be more of guys 62 to 72 years of age. They have many, many stories. And the thing about it is that we need to get these people out. You know, the campaign that Luis was talking about earlier, Yo soy Roberto Clemente. I am Roberto Clemente. Well, I look at my own military career. I look at my own self. I tailor my character after Roberto. Never met the man, never met anything. But I tailored that, and I became successful in my career because I tried to walk the way he walked. I tried to talk the way he talked. And I said I had to stand for. And because I became successful in my career, and like that, like myself, are many, many, many other others out there, thousands and not millions of folks that have done that. We just don't know their stories. But I guarantee you, they are the Wayne Gretzky and the Michael Jordans and the Michael Keaton and so far, Gas Brooks are there. But how many people like myself, a small guy from a small town in Puerto Rico, that imitated him and his life, not in the playing field, but the character of the man, have become successful in life. And I think that for me is huge because that campaign that I am Roberto Clemente, Yo soy Roberto Clemente, I guarantee you that campaign alone will let you know how many millions of stories are there where a young kid that we gave, the foundation gave a scholarship fund this year to go to college, Orange Pennington, a kid that never heard about Clemente, he got to third grade in Michelle Hoover's class. And he learned about him to such a way that he would force his parents to take him to Pittsburgh on Clemente's birthday to be in front of the statue and put some flowers. Now the kid, it was 7th rank in the state of New York as an athlete going to Division I school because a small town, American town teacher decided to teach about Roberto. That's how many impact we have in America. Now, the big money makers and the producers, they might not see it, but it's up to the Clemente family, the Clemente Foundation, and the Clemente friends. I would never forget that Iran Bithorn, a few years back, I think it was 2015, when we did the clinic and Iran Bithorn with 500 kids, over 2,500 people showed up. And 28 former teammates of Roberto Clemente or friends of Roberto Clemente showed up for the clinic. That's the type of campaign we have to have. Not only from the family, not only from the foundation, but for Clemente friends. And anybody that believes in his legacy, anybody that walk his legacy, is a Clemente friend. And that's the things that I believe that sometimes, you know, we look for that movie, we don't have to, I believe that the Clemente name stand by himself. I believe the Clemente name in the United States of America, in a Latin American country, and even the European countries, stands by himself. The thing about it is how this great Americans we have right now, this great support of Roberto Clemente, his family that we call family right now here today, is how we're going to go forward to make sure that we can get all small town America, like Tom said, to know more about Roberto. Not just one the number, but to know more about him. But I believe that we are showing ourselves thinking about people knowing about Roberto Clemente, especially in the United States. I live in a very small town. It's a village, not a town, it's a village. And I remember when Vera came to visit us, okay, and she's here in my house at the dinner table. And this little boy, 11 years old, knocked on the door. And he said, I heard you have Miss Clemente here. And I said, yes. And he said, can I give her a hug? And that's exactly what he did.
Thank you, Victor.